Themes and scenes which may not be suitable for very young audiences. Parental guidance is advised.
We're working to connect a region of over 600 million bridges between our lands.
Hello and welcome to ASEAN in Focus. I'm Judith Yamera delivering to you the latest news in and around the ASEAN region on today's headlines. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un paid tribute to Vietnam's late revolutionary leader Ho Chi Minh on Saturday before starting his long journey home through China after his Hanoi summit with the U.S. President Donald Trump ended without a nuclear deal. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo on Friday vowed to defend the Philippines against armed attack in the disputed South China Sea, in Washington's starkest warning yet against Chinese claims to most of the strategic waterway. Indonesia and Australia inked a long-awaited trade deal on Monday after months of diplomatic tension over Canberra's contentious plan to move its embassy to Jerusalem. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un paid tribute to Vietnam's late revolutionary leader Ho Chi Minh on Saturday before starting his long journey home through China after his Hanoi summit with U.S. President Donald Trump ended without a nuclear deal. Earlier, Kim made a highly unusual stop at the stark concrete monument where the body of Vietnam's independence hero is on display. On historic North Korean anniversaries, Kim regularly pays tribute with the humblest reverence, according to the official KCNA news agency, to his predecessors, his father Kim Jong-il and grandfather Kim Il-sung at the sprawling Memorial Palace on the outskirts of Pyongyang, where their preserved remains lie in state. But he is not known to have previously done anything similar for a foreign leader. Kim has visited China, the North's key diplomatic protector and main provider of trade and aid, 4 times, but there have been no reports in their country's state media of him going to Mao Zedong's mausoleum in Beijing. But Kim's grandfather was a close friend of Ho Chi Minh and supplied him with fighter pilots and psychological warfare specialists during his war against the U.S.-backed regime in South Vietnam. Kim boarded his own train Saturday and headed towards China. Though his route was not known and it was not clear whether he would be stopping to meet President Xi Jinping along the journey, a smiling Kim waved to crowds at the station and clasped his hands in the air as he was seen off by white uniformed soldiers and Vietnamese officials. U.S. National Security Advisor John Bolton denied Sunday that last week's nuclear summit with North Korea was a failure, despite President Trump coming home empty-handed. A high-stakes second meeting to strike a nuclear disarmament deal between the North Korea's leader Kim Jong-un and Trump broke up in disarray Thursday without even a joint statement. But Bolton told CBS Face the Nation that Trump's failure in getting commitments from Pyongyang on destroying its nuclear capability should be seen as a success, defined as the president protecting and advancing American national interest. The White House aide said the issue was whether North Korea would accept what the president called the big deal, denuclearizing completely or something less, which was unacceptable to U.S. The outcome in Hanoi fell far short of the pre-meeting expectations, after critics said their initial historic meeting in Singapore, which produced only a vague commitment from Kim to work toward complete denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula, was more style over substance. Others pointed to a lack of preparation, with the two sides unable to bridge the gaps between them in time. According to senior U.S. officials, in the week leading up to the Hanoi summit, the North Koreans had demanded the lifting of effectively all the UN Security Council economic sanctions imposed on Pyongyang since March 2016.
That's where it's all leading. It doesn't mean we're doing it in one day.
U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo on Friday vowed to defend the Philippines against armed attack in the disputed South China Sea. In Washington, Stark is warning yet against Chinese claims to most of the strategic waterway. Speaking in Manila after meeting with Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte, Pompeo said Beijing's actions in waters also claimed by the Southeast Asian nation and other neighbors were a threat. Pompeo said China's island building and military activities in the South China Sea threaten the sovereignty, security, and therefore economic livelihood as well as that of the United States.
As the South China Sea is part of the Pacific, any armed attack on Philippine forces, aircraft, or public vessels in the South China Sea would trigger mutual defense obligations under Article 4 of our Mutual Defense Treaty. As well, our commitments under the treaty are clear. Our obligations are real, and the South China Sea is certainly part of an important body of water for freedom of navigation. I think the whole world understands that the Trump administration has made a true commitment to making sure that these seas remain open.
Pompeo's comments mark the first time a U.S. official has publicly stated Washington's commitment to defending its poorly armed ally in the Flashpoint Sea. A 1951 U.S.-Philippine Mutual Defense Treaty committed Manila and its former colonial master to come to each other's aid in case of armed attack in the Pacific area. Philippine troops and fishermen have frequently complained about harassment by Chinese maritime security forces. Reacting to Pompeo, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman Lu Kang said Beijing was committed to keeping peace and stability in the region. He added that for countries outside the region, such as the United States, it is not necessary to be deliberately provocative or stir up trouble. The United States has said it is not taking sides in the dispute over waters claimed by China, the Philippines, Brunei, Malaysia, Taiwan, and Vietnam. However, Washington has asserted its right to freely sail over waters, through which trillions of dollars in global trade pass through each year and which reputedly contain vast mineral and oil reserves. In other news, parties aligned with Thailand's powerful Shinawatrai clan staged major rally Saturday, ahead of a court ruling that could deal a gut punch to their prospects in national elections later this month. Public gatherings were taking place across the country, including in the Chiang Mai hometown of divisive billionaire ex-premier Thaksin Shinawatrai. Shinawatrai-linked Pheu Thai party members addressed throngs of supporters in a stadium in Chiang Mai as the sun went down, promising development and incentives for entrepreneurs in the northern city. Thaksin, who lives in self-exile to avoid jail in Thailand, is adored by white farmers and large sections of urban working-class voters for his pro-poor policies and steering of the economy. But he is despised by the royalist elite, whose allies have failed to beat him at the polls since 2001 and instead have relied on coups and court rulings to topple Shinawatrai-backed governments. Thousands of people also massed in Bangkok's historic center late Friday for a defiant campaign by Thai Raksa, another political party linked to the Shinawatrai clan. But Thai Raksa could be dissolved by the Constitutional Court on March 7th after its bid to run a princess as candidate for prime minister spectacularly unraveled. Supporters say the court has the future of Thai democracy in its hands, with the junta determined to return as a civilian government.
เรานึกถึงบรรยากาศวันนั้นนะคะวันแห่งความสุขที่เราได้ทำงานด้วยกันแล้วก็เราให้พี่น้องได้มีความสุขมีเงินในกระเป๋าตุงๆพี่น้องมีความสุขเราก็มีความสุขนะคะวันนี้ถึงแม้ว่า 4-5 ปีที่ผ่านมาเราไม่ได้มีโอกาสได้มาเจอมาพบกันแบบนี้แต่เชื่อว่าหัวใจของพวกเราติดกันและใกล้กันเสมอใช่ไหมคะพี่น้องคะยังคิดถึงกันเสมอใช่ไหมคะต้องท เที่ยวแบบนี้ไม่
34 Rohingya were found on a beach in Malaysia Friday, police said, the first of the Muslim minority group thought to have arrived in the country by sea for almost a year. About 740,000 Rohingya fled Myanmar for Bangladesh after a military clampdown in August 2017, joining huge numbers already confined to camps. Local police officer Nahar Jalaluddin said the Rohingya were discovered on an isolated stretch of coast in the northern state of Perlis. He said they were tired, weak, and hungry. The refugees, who included men, women, and children, are now in the custody of the immigration authorities. The official said he suspected they had been ferried into Malaysian waters from neighboring Thailand by people smugglers under cover of darkness and dumped close to the shore. The New Straits Times newspaper reported that villagers found the Rohingya on the shore, covered with mud, and many were crying. It is the first time since April 2018 that Malaysian authorities have found a group of Rohingya who made it to the country by sea. It was not clear whether they had started their journey in Myanmar or Bangladesh, where huge numbers of Rohingya are living in squalid refugee camps.
Pilipinas sa isang bansang agrikultural na ang land area ay umaabot sa mahigit 30 milyong ektarya. Malaking bahagi nito tinatawag na lupang sakahan. Bagaman ang bansa ay isang agricultural country, problema pa rin ang kakapusan ng supply ng pagkain lalo na sa mahihirap na syudad. Pero may nakikitang solusyon dito ang tinatawag na urban farming. Sa pamamagitan ng urban farming, kahit sa bakuran o mga bakanting lote, pwede itong tamnan lalo na manggulay at iba pang pananim. Sa pamamagitan din ng makabagong teknolohiya, maituturo sa mga kababayan ang paggawa ng organic na pataba at pag-iimbak ng tubig na gagamitin para mabilis tumubo ang mga pananim. Bukod sa katiyakan sa pagkain, may dagdag na kita pa kung marami ang aanihing produkto. Ako po si Mean Corvera, kaisa sa pagsusulong ng urban farming para na rin sa kasiguruhan ng sapat na supply ng pagkain.
Welcome back. Indonesia and Australia inked a long-awaited trade deal on Monday after months of diplomatic tension over Canberra's contentious plan to move its embassy to Jerusalem. Australian Trade Minister Simon Birmingham said the signing of the Indonesia-Australia Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement brings their two nations closer together than ever before. The pact includes improved access for Australian cattle and sheep farmers to Indonesia's 260 million people, while Australian universities, health providers, and miners will also benefit from easier entry to Southeast Asia's biggest economy. Greater access to Australian market is expected to spur Indonesia's automotive and textile industries and boost exports of timber, electronics, and medicinal goods. Bilateral trade was worth $11.7 billion in 2017. The deal has been in negotiation since 2010 and was expected to be signed before the end of last year, but it stalled when Prime Minister Scott Morrison proposed the relocation of the Australia's embassy to Jerusalem. ASEAN and the United States of America discussed a range of collaborative initiatives to further strengthen their strategic partnership during a meeting at the ASEAN Secretariat in Jakarta. The 10th meeting of the ASEAN-US Joint Cooperation Committee noted that the ASEAN-US relations continued to follow an upward trajectory since its elevation to a strategic level in 2015. taking stock of the implementation of the ASEAN-US Plan of Action 2016 to 2020. They noted the progress made in its third year of implementation with all of the 103 action lines being addressed. Both sides noted the importance of addressing emerging issues and deepening cooperation in areas of common strategic priorities such as cybersecurity, transnational crime, connectivity, digital economy response to the Fourth Industrial Revolution, MSME's development, trade facilitation in particular, the advancement of the ASEAN single window, humanitarian assistance and disaster relief and youth-related programs, including the Young Southeast Asia Leaders Initiative. ASEAN expressed appreciation for the U.S. continued support to ASEAN community building and integration efforts and look forward to the implementation of the two new 5-year development programs, namely the Inclusive Growth in ASEAN through Innovation, Trade and E-Commerce or IGNITE, and the Partnership for Regional Optimization within the Political Security and Socio-Cultural Communities. The meeting also welcomed the new regional initiatives on infrastructure, energy and technology amounting to USD or $113 million as part of the U.S. Indo-Pacific strategy as well as the U.S.-ASEAN Smart Cities Partnership. ASEAN and the U.S. also exchanged views on regional and international issues affecting the region, including developments on the South China Sea and Korean Peninsula. The meeting was co-chaired by Ambassador Ekafab Fantavong, permanent representative of Lao PDR to ASEAN, and Jane Buckledge charged the affairs of the U.S. mission to ASEAN. It was attended by the permanent representatives of ASEAN member states, as well as the representatives of the ASEAN Secretariat and the U.S. mission to ASEAN. In the Philippines, President Rodrigo Duterte has signed the OFW Handbook Bill into law. Based on the law signed on February 22 but released only on Saturday, March 2, the Philippine Overseas Employment Administration shall develop, publish, disseminate, and update a handbook that will contain the responsibilities and rights of overseas Filipino workers. The handbook, which will be given for free to OFWs, whether sea-based or land-based, shall also provide them with basic information on their country of destination in order to empower them in the global marketplace. The handbook shall be written in the simple words that can be easily understood with translation in local language, as may be necessary, the Senate version authored by Senator Manny Pacquiao said. The POEA Department of Labor and Employment and the Department of Foreign Affairs shall protect the rights of OFWs and promote their welfare under the law. Their migrant workers are vulnerable to abuses. They do not want them to be powerless.
Isa sa mga pangunahing atraksyon sa lalawigan ng Bohol ay ang Chocolate Hills at ang Tarsier. Alam ba ninyo na nasa higit 1,700 na mga burol na matatagpuan sa bayan ng Carmen? At hindi ito tinutubuan ng kahit anong puno dahil sa ilalim nito ay puno ng limestone. Isa rin sa hindi dapat palagpasin na makita sa Bohol ay ang Tarsier, na pinakamaliit na mammal animal na may malalaking mata. Tinatawag din itong mau-mau sa Central Visayas. Para sa mga kaganapan sa iba't ibang lalawigan, naging tumuto sa Aguila Provincia, Lunes hanggang Biyernes, alas 11:30 hanggang alas 12 ng tanghali at alas 5:30 hanggang alas 6 ng gabi. Dito lamang sa Net 25.
Welcome back. As families mark 5 years since flight MH370 vanished with 239 people on board with no conclusions as to what happened, Malaysia's transport minister says that while no new search is planned, the government open to hearing proposals to resume the hunt. Watch this.
370 went missing from the skies of Malaysia. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you, everyone.
There is no closure until the plane is found, until we exactly know what happened to the aircraft and to our loved ones on board. Yes, it gets tougher every year because we are all expecting, some answers.
If there are any credible leads and any specific proposal, especially from Ocean Infinity, we are more than willing to look at it, and we are prepared to discuss with them the new proposal.
As Europe battles a surge in anti-Semitism, including the desecration of graves in France, Southeast Asia is wrestling with a lack of understanding about the provenance of Nazi paraphernalia that casually creeps into public spaces. Take a look.
I think it is because of lack of historical fact or historical education, because Holocaust and Nazi Germany are not taught in high school in depth. So they are mentioned passum, but not in details.
And that is the latest news in the Southeast Asian nations. Stay updated about the ASEAN region. I'm Judith Yamera, and I'm 1 with 25.